All right, so we just got done unboxing it. Let's actually take this guy apart now. There's a lot of things I'm very curious about. Very small form factor, but it's still heavier than most of the other systems, minus the original Xbox that I showed you. So I guess at this point, let's get this taken apart. I'm gonna get you guys a nice overhead view here while we take it apart in real time. So I broke out the new set for this. Actually, yeah, sometimes I'll buy tool sets if they're cheap enough. This was on sale, I think, for like $5 at Walmart. So it has like all the Torx and everything, multiples of each. It's actually pretty pretty strong metal, so it shouldn't give you any issues. Now, when I was kind of taking a look around, I saw our entry point to get in here. On the back, there is what looks to be a T10 right here, Torx screw, and then over here, it's kind of hidden underneath of a security sticker. So basically a warranty sticker here. Once I pull this sticker off, warranty's broken. But I kind of knew that when we were getting into here. So let's see if I can work on getting this off. Sometimes they're a pain to get off because they stick them on there real good. A lot of times just getting underneath of it, right, and then popping it up like that is just enough, because then you can kind of jam this guy in there. I know some people, back in the day, we would play around with this idea with PS3s. You'd actually be able to heat up the sticker enough, and you'd be able to get it off of there without it looking like you opened it. So there we go. That's a pretty wide thread T10 right there, more so than usual. That actually looks wider than the 360 T10s that are inside of it. Here we go. I'm gonna keep moving in here. Hopefully I don't have to move around with too many bits. I have everything, but I even have a security T8 here just in case we get into that X-clamp territory where you need it. So we're gonna see. Now, I'm not really sure how we go from here. Okay, there you go, it slides forward. So you take these out, you push it forward, and it comes out. So we're mostly in here. Okay, so now this is looking a lot more familiar. This is looking more like the 360 Xbox One S is what it's looking more like right now, which is cool. And I can already see that there is an X-clamp a part of this here. And those are using what it looks to be very annoying T8 screws. Those things strip everything. Not security though, so I like that. That's the one plus I will give them currently. So we have that there. And looking around, it looks like we just have a lot of T10s. These ones here are the long screw T10s, not a big deal. So let's just start taking them out, I guess, and move along here. We also have this is our RF board. This is what lets the controller sync to it. And generally it also has the wireless kind of built in here as well. Sometimes it's a separate board, but that might actually be our Wi-Fi board as well. So let's, I'm just going to take all these screws out and we'll kind of go from there. So all the basic T10 screws are now out, and we're moving into T8 territory with all of these guys. So we're going to move over to a smaller Torx, which would be the T8. So you can see the like the RF board over here comes off. It's interesting, it actually has a metal brace here, I assume because of the shape here. They wanted to brace it really well. You can see it kind of dips in, and otherwise this kind of would have just floated around. So I guess that's why they added that there. They also went with a different screw type for that side, whereas this one is just a standard T8 black screw that they use. So we have all of these screws out. This was actually a plug in here. We're gonna keep an eye on this and figure out what that's for exactly. It looks like a cable that then runs down underneath, but it plugs in right here. So we'll keep an eye on that as well. But overall, and we have another board up here as well. This also has Wi-Fi and MAC address here also. So maybe this, okay, so this should be your Wi-Fi board. This should be the board that affects your controller. An interesting setup here, Wi-Fi board on the side, and then your Wi-Fi Direct board, because they don't really use Bluetooth, they use some other connection, Wi-Fi Direct, I think, for your controller. So let me take this out as well, and then we should be good to lift this entire metal chassis off of here, and we'll be good to move along from there. Okay, now we should be able to take this off. There doesn't appear to be any other screws holding it down. I don't know if there's anything connected underneath. That's what we're gonna have to kind of be careful with. What I like to do, I think also this plastic under here will also lift off. I could probably, yeah, okay. So I can lift completely away from here, I believe, unless there, again, you have to be really careful because sometimes there is something connecting. In this case, there's not. Very similar to the Xbox One original and the S, where this whole bottom plastic will come off. This runs, as you can see, it runs all the way around here, and this actually runs over to this guy here, your eject button. And this is, okay, here we go. So your sync button, remember originally I thought it was this cable because of the way it was hiding? Your sync button here, along with this USB port, is actually tied to this cable here. That it all runs to this board here in this corner, and that's how that functions there. It connects to the motherboard, as we saw at the top here. So that's how all that works. The eject button was actually this little cable here that was running up. Kind of interesting. All right, now we have the entire board and everything. I mean, this is everything here, so I'm trying to figure out if we can lift it up or if I want to just go ahead and disconnect these back plastic bits. Usually it's a clip of some kind that holds it on. In this case, though, it just lifts off. All right, there we go. So this just comes right off. Great. And we are greeted with a couple things. We're greeted with the X-clamp that we know is in here because that's the way they operate with these things, which this is going to be a lot of fun to pop off. In fact, I don't have my pliers down. I got to go up and get my pliers. Do I? Or do I have them right here? Actually, I have them right here. That's why I keep my a toolbox nearby. You never know when you need some pliers. We have our south bridge here with a nice piece of conductive foam, and then it also has, it uses this large guy as a heat sink passively because it has a thermal pad here that connects to south bridge. South bridges, big problem in the original Xbox One. A lot of people don't know this. The south bridge would get very hot, and I actually had to replace, through reballing, quite a few of these south bridges. They would actually die, and you have to replace them. Very common. A lot of times that happens when you turn on the Xbox One and it would shut right back off. That's why. That south bridge is bad. So we're going to pop this off, and that should mostly free the board without too much issue. That's interesting. I'm seeing a lot of discoloration around the board. This is a new Xbox One. I'm seeing a lot of discoloration around the board here, which is very interesting. Yeah, I'm getting a lot of green and blue. A lot of times you'll see that, traces of corrosion. This is a new board though, so I can't imagine that's the case. It might be from the fabrication process as well. That's very possible. I've seen that happen before. It's interesting on a very high quality device to have that. So let me see if there's anything else holding this on other than that. I don't think there is. The fan should be plugged in somewhere as well though. So I feel like we're going the right way here. But it's very interesting that I'm upside down on this right now. So let's get this X-clamp off and see if we can move along. There's a reason so many people hate these X-clamps. They're a pain to get off. What I like to do is slowly work around, and as you work around, you'll find one leg that's a little easier to pull off than the other. As soon as it pops, you'll have pressure relieved on the others, and it should come off pretty easily. Don't really start yanking at one. If it doesn't want to come up, spend your time working around with a pair of pliers. Do not use a flathead screwdriver. So many people will try to use a flathead screwdriver on it to pop it up, and they end up missing at some point, or it rolls off, and you cut the board. Don't do that. Use a pair of pliers that you're very confident with, that you can grip well, maybe some rubber handle or something, and grab it with confidence, and just slowly move along. If it doesn't want to pop up, move on to the next one. Don't use a flathead screwdriver, please. I've had to replace traces of people who have completely destroyed their board because of it. So the board, for the most part, that's free now from the heatsink. Now I have to figure out if I need to be back the other way, because sometimes when you don't know how to open these things up, you end up with some interesting issues. So this appears to be freed up. I want to be careful with this disk drive because it's held on by foam. There we go. So now those two screws let me get in here. Boom. Okay. So here we go. Still a very heavy system. You just saw all of the layers we just peeled away. Still pretty heavy. Very packed though. Look how compact this is. Power supply, heatsink with fan and shroud, and then your disk drive. It's super compact here. Almost put together like a 3D puzzle if you think about it that way. Kind of cool. So nothing is really held together anymore. These should just be cables, yes. SATA cable, standard. Power cable, also standard, comes right out, no problems there. Everything was held together with those long screws that we already took apart. So these will just start falling out essentially. Here is our, there we go. I'm actually gonna leave these plugged in. Otherwise, I think I can, or not. Yeah, I'll just unplug this one, that's fine. Because it's easier just so I know where everything goes. I don't wanna mix up a SATA port or anything. Okay, and then we have our power supply, which I believe, if I'm correct, just plugs in. Yes, so this was an interesting design. I like this idea on their part. You see how it runs down along here? That's actually the power cable part that runs down along the back of the fan shroud, and it keeps it small enough because if you tried to run it underneath, it would not sit under well. So I like that idea of doing that, and it kind of hides it. So that's where, this is the part where you would plug your actual power cord in. It sits here on the board there, and that's everything. So very cool. Fan shroud will come right off, by the way. I'm gonna leave that attached. It's not that big of a deal because this is just a shroud. So we're good. So there's our large fan. Works kind of like a turbine fan. So it's pretty quiet. It's smaller, very small compared to the Xbox One, the original. That is a massive fan. But it's got a very large airway, so that's good stuff. And here is our heatsink. This should be what probably weighs a ton, is this. Yes, this is one of the probably heaviest things in here. Let me grab that power supply. Power supply is very small. Good job, Microsoft. That is a very solid power supply. Very nice. The heatsink is very heavy, as you would expect. Look at this. I mean, this is just like pure copper here. Check that out. I mean, man, that is a nice chunk of copper right there. Of course, we have the heatsink itself. More copper, just massive. That is a nice heatsink. Thermal pads all the way around for the massive amount of RAM that is needed. Here, we're just gonna pop this sucker right off. Look at that. That is something else right there, man. I'm liking what I'm seeing from a quality standpoint. This is a quality system internally. I'm really liking this. Should be, right? It's $500. So here we go. But I honestly, I can't say that as much about the PS4 Pro, though. I mean, the way it's set up, there's a reason the fan gets as loud as it does. They cheaped out on the heatsink. So here is the beast, right? This is the chip that we keep seeing. That compound is already dry. Great. I guess we'll be replacing that compound. Yeah, man, that is dry already. I can't believe that. That's amazing. Chip is very large, right? It's a big chip, as we would expect. They pretty much told us it would be a massive chip, and it is. Tons of RAM modules all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So 1 gigabyte each for 12 gigabytes total. There's our internal speaker too. Everything looks, this is a good looking board, I must say. It's very compact. It looks good all the way around. The engineering in this board is awesome. This is a good looking board. But we have all our modules here. I think a 320-bit bus. I have to double check. It was a very large bus for memory. 384-bit. It's a large bus, and then everything feeds to this chip that then does everything. So this is pretty impressive. I'm gonna clean this chip off, and I guess we'll drop some compound on it. I mean, just take a look at this heatsink, guys. This thing is, this is not messing around. This is a very, very serious heatsink. Some money went into this guy. I'm gonna tell you that now. They definitely knew this chip was going to get warm, and they met it with a very good solution. This thing is going to be quiet. I'm going to tell you that now. I left a little compound around the chip here because, to be completely honest with you guys, I don't have any toothpicks in the house. Toothpicks usually get this out pretty easily, and there are so many small components here. I don't want to get crazy with it. But I have the top of the chip cleared. That won't actually make a difference, any of this leftover compound. I could probably use my fingernail to get it out of there. Again, though, I really don't want to test it. It's not going to make a big enough difference. Ah, there we go. Okay, I got it out. That's fine. I do have MX4, though, that's going to go on there. Should, I guess, improve maybe a little bit. I can't believe how dry that compound already was. Oh, and I know you guys are going to ask. Yes, there is the Master Chief riding a scorpion right there. That guy right there. So, yes, they do have them included in every one. There's our compound on there, MX4. So let's drop this big old vapor chamber guy on there, the big old heatsink, and I guess put it back together. So I guess enjoy the ride. We're gonna do our best to get it all back together exactly the way it was, and we'll see what happens. You know, one of the best feelings in the repair world is when you have no screws left over after going for memory. Pretty good. Xbox One X overall, not a bad system to take apart. A lot of screws though. Getting this top case on is kind of a pain too. Otherwise, Pretty easy. And guys, that's going to do it for our video today on the Xbox One X. I hope you guys enjoyed a look inside of the most powerful and the most expensive console at this time on the market. I had a lot of fun. The heatsink, the build quality, everything in here is good. It's very good. It's definitely better than the PS4 Pro's internal build quality. And I mean, it's the strongest system on the market now, so it has a lot of pluses there, and hopefully Microsoft can now start buying up studios or opening some new ones, getting some exclusives on their side for this beast to flex its muscle there. And anyone else thought I was going to be breaking this, guys? Come on, you should know by now. Not in the business of breaking any systems, so if you'll excuse me, I need to go play some Assassin's Creed and some Wolfenstein on this guy. I'll see you guys next time. Oh.